Welcome to Crímenes Ocultos, where every shadow hides a truth, every silence carries a secret, and every case pulls us deeper into the world of crime, mystery, and justice. Tonight, we reopen a story buried for decades. A case where a bright young woman lost her life, an innocent teenager lost his future, and the real killer walked free for 32 years. This is the murder of Angela Michelle Lawless and the wrongful conviction of Joshua Kaiser. Let's begin on the night of November 8, 1992. The cold air over Benton, Missouri carried a quiet stillness, the kind that only small towns truly know. Yet that silence was about to shatter, leaving behind a mystery that would echo for decades. A 19-year-old nursing student named Angela Michelle Lawless, known simply as Michelle, had her entire life ahead of her. She was smart, kind, determined, and loved by everyone who knew her. But within a few cruel minutes, her future vanished. And in the years that followed, the justice system would fail both Michelle and an innocent teenager who would be blamed for her murder. This is one of the most painful wrongful convictions in Missouri history, a case built on lies, pressure, and desperation. And it wasn't until December 2024, more than 30 years later, that the real killer was finally brought to justice. Tonight, we uncover the truth. Michelle Lawless was born on August 2, 1973 in Benton, Missouri. She stood just barely 5 feet tall and weighed around 95 pounds. But everyone who knew her said she had the energy and courage of someone twice her size. In a town where everyone knew everyone, Michelle was impossible to forget. She volunteered as a candy striper at Cape Girardeau Hospital. She earned a green belt in karate. She had been a Girl Scout. She cheered for her high school basketball team. She joined charities and school clubs, and she was the kind of person who remembered birthdays, showed up when people needed her, and always smiled even when life became complicated. Her dream was simple but powerful. She wanted to help people. That dream took her to Southeast Missouri State University, where she started studying nursing. For her parents, her friends, and her community, her future seemed bright and unstoppable. But behind the cheerful exterior, Michelle's life held quiet struggles, especially her relationship with her boyfriend of 3 years, Leon Lamb. Her diary would later reveal jealousy, arguments, and emotional turmoil that she kept mostly to herself. No one imagined that this relationship would later become the key to solving her murder. At around 1 a.m., Jerry and Ruth Householder were on their way to work when they noticed something odd. A Buick Somerset sitting at the top of an exit ramp off Interstate 55. The engine was running. The headlights were on. The car hadn't crashed. It had simply been left there. Something felt wrong. Instead of checking the vehicle themselves, they immediately reported it to the Benton Sheriff's Office. At 1:29 a.m., Reserve Deputy Rick Walter and Officer Roy Moore arrived at Exit 77. As they approached the car, the night was silent except for the low hum of the idling engine. Officer Moore slowly opened the driver's door and instantly understood that this was no accident. Michelle Lawless was slumped over the center console. Blood soaked the interior, and the brutality of the attack was immediately obvious. Michelle had been beaten with a baseball bat, shot 3 times, once in the face, once in the back of the head, and once in the back, dragged down a slope, then carried back to the car. And she had fought back hard. Under her fingernails was DNA that did not belong to her, evidence preserved for decades. This was not a robbery. Her rings were still in the console. Her wallet was untouched. The window was rolled down only slightly, as if she had trusted the person she was talking to. Everything pointed to someone she knew. The false witness. Minutes after police found Michelle, a man named Mark Abbott walked into the sheriff's office. He claimed he had discovered the scene earlier, but his story kept changing. First, he said the killer was a dark-skinned Hispanic man. Later, he said there were 2 Hispanic men. Then he said he saw a white car, but then changed it again. Finally, he identified a fair-skinned teenager named Joshua Kaiser as the suspect. None of it made sense. But the pressure to solve the case was mounting, and police were desperate for answers. Another driver that night, Dallas Butler, reported something very different. He saw a dark sedan, a light-colored Ford truck, a man in a red hat who pushed him away when he offered help, a girl slumped in the driver's seat, still alive at that time. This man in the red hat would later become one of the biggest missing pieces of the story. By 1994, with no solid leads, public pressure grew intense. The town wanted an arrest. That's when prosecutors turned to 17-year-old Joshua Kaiser. There was crossmark no DNA, crossmark no fingerprints, crossmark no murder weapon, crossmark no relationship between Kaiser and Michelle, crossmark no reliable witnesses, crossmark no motive. Yet prosecutors pushed ahead using the changing, unreliable statements of Mark Abbott, 3 jailhouse informants who later admitted they lied, a jacket they falsely claimed had Michelle's blood, it was tomato juice, a rumor that Kaiser fought with Michelle at a Halloween party, which never happened. Despite a solid alibi placing him 350 miles away, Kaiser was convicted of second-degree murder and sentenced to 60 years in prison. He was 17, and his life was stolen. Meanwhile, the real killer continued living quietly in Missouri and later Arkansas. In 2005, Rick Walter, the same deputy who found Michelle's body, was elected sheriff. He had never believed Kaiser was guilty. In 2006, he reopened the case completely. What he found was shocking. The original sheriff, Bill Farrell, had written in his private notes that he didn't believe Kaiser was the killer, but testified otherwise. Jailhouse witnesses admitted they lied in exchange for deals. The Halloween party story was proven false. The blood evidence was not blood. DNA under Michelle's nails had never been properly examined. Walter pushed for new analysis. And in 2008, modern forensic testing discovered the truth. The DNA under Michelle's fingernails belonged to her boyfriend, Leon Lamb. This changed everything. In February 2009, Judge Richard B. Callahan reviewed the new evidence and issued a devastating 44-page ruling detailing the failures of the original investigation. On that day, after spending 16 years in prison, Joshua Kaiser walked free. He later received a $4 million settlement and donated $10,000 of it to help find Michelle's real killer. But the story wasn't over. Michelle's diaries detailed emotional turmoil and controlling behavior from her boyfriend, Leon Lamb. The timeline he gave police didn't match reality. There were signs of jealousy and anger that only grew clearer as investigators reopened the case. He had moved to Arkansas and lived quietly for decades, even watching as an innocent boy went to prison for his crime. But the DNA told the truth. The scratches on his body weren't from intimacy. They were from Michelle fighting for her life. After 32 years of freedom, the past finally caught up with him. On December 20th, 2024, investigators and Arkansas authorities arrested 52-year-old Leon Lamb in Conway, Arkansas. He now faces first-degree murder charges, transfer back to Missouri, a mountain of forensic evidence, a detailed timeline that places him with Michelle that night. He is being held without bond, fighting extradition, but Missouri prosecutors are ready. And this time, the right man is finally facing justice. The legacy of this case. This case destroyed 2 lives. Michelle's life was taken in an act of brutal violence. Joshua Kaiser lost 16 years of his youth to a justice system that failed him. And for 3 decades, the truth remained buried. But thanks to modern DNA technology, a sheriff who refused to give up, investigators who cared, a community seeking real justice, the truth finally emerged. Even after 32 years, the evidence spoke. Michelle fought hard, and her nails told the story her voice never could. Justice was late, but it arrived. Thank you for watching this episode of Crímenes Ocultos. Every case we tell is a reminder of how fragile justice can be, and how powerful the truth becomes when someone refuses to stop searching. If this story moved you, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe. We bring you real crime stories every night. Until next time, stay sharp, stay safe, and remember, in Crímenes Ocultos, every hidden truth eventually comes to light.